Hey, girls and boys that might be watching. Sorry. We're only ladies in the building, so that's why I said that. But anyway, hey, welcome back to the podcast.
Woo.
How are you guys?
Chilling. Yeah, I'm good.
Chilling.
Chilling.
Cool. Well, we're here with another episode yet again. We've been quite consistent. Go
Can't
team.
Get rid of us.
You really can't get rid of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been singing this song, so that we'll do a little guessing game, shall we?
Oh, okay.
You guys can sing it 'cause I don't know the words. Go ahead.
Can we though? I feel like we say this every time, and I don't want to.
Okay, sing it in the wrong tune and see
Should we
if
do
you
it
guys can.
like the video?
Yeah, why not? Okay, please stop. Please. Everyone's ears are like screeching right now.
If you're listening to this, I'm
in
so
case you
sorry.
couldn't figure out what that was, that was Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish. I feel like a radio host.
Yeah.
You know?
And Phineas and Ferb.
And Phineas and Ferb were also there. And they just happened to be siblings.
You know,
What
Ferb is
a
not his
segue.
name, right? But you really ran with it.
I know, and that's not that is something I wouldn't know.
Yeah, it's
But
true.
I did grow up with Phineas and Ferb. I'm a little bit old, but
Did
you?
You're way too old.
Well,
for
You
Phineas
are
and
so
Ferb.
old for Phineas and Ferb. I don't even know it.
So I have a brother that's 10 years younger than me.
Okay, cool, yeah.
So yeah, I
No.
at least I know what Phineas and Ferb is, and I've been reminded again because I really like Alison Stoner, and she's the voice of
Yes.
somebody there.
Isabella or something.
Yeah, I don't remember who, but
Isabella.
Oh.
Your boy. Time for dinner.
so anyway, so Phineas and Billie Eilish
Yes.
wrote this song together and their siblings. And so actually this might sound really cheesy for you, I don't know, but we really felt today to talk about sibling-hood, what it means to be siblings. Also because all three of us have siblings.
Mhm.
And I don't know, I guess I was thinking as well how siblings are such an interesting relationship where you literally grow up with somebody, they are your closest companion your whole life, more or
Like your
less.
built-in best friend, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but then you kind of go to different unis or you move out of the house, and
Yeah.
then you're just people in the world.
Yeah.
You're no longer united at the hip in some ways. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that could be interesting to talk about our little siblings, our lovely, well, not little, 'cause not everybody has a little sibling. Only Julie and I are older sisters. Abby's a little sister.
Yeah.
Aw.
I radiate younger sister
You
energy.
really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my first question is, do you have siblings? And
No.
who are they?
You already answered.
I
that
did.
question.
I have two,
Nice.
but you each have one.
True. Do you want to tell us anything about your siblings? Are they girls? Are they boys?
Yeah, I've got two sisters.
Whoa.
No, I guess now I also have two brothers 'cause they're
Oh.
both married,
Right.
which is nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got two sisters.
Nice.
So yeah.
AB?
Have one older brother.
Wow.
His name is Bailey, which is
Bailey.
pronounced Bailey. When I'm not
Sorry,
doing
she
a
said
bad
it in
British
Canadian.
accent. Yeah. Bueno. I technically have 3 step siblings as well, 'cause my mom remarried when I was 15 or 16 or something. I think I was 15. So I have 3 older. All of my siblings are older than me, but my mom remarried when I was 15, so I was kind of old by that point, and they were also older than me, so I didn't really grow up with them at all. But my brother and I were very, very close, and are still very close. But we were besties when we were little. I remember so many funny stories with Bailey. But when we were little, anytime we would get in a fight, our dad would always be like, "Go to your room," and then sometimes he'd make us hug each other. Did your parents ever do that? Where he'd be like, "Okay,
Oh,
now
yeah.
say you're sorry," and we'd be like, "I'm sorry," He'd be like, "Okay, Bailey, say you're sorry." Sorry, He'd be like, "Okay, now hug it out. You guys are siblings. You love each other. Hug each other." And you'd go and be like, the "I hate you" hug. But I remember I have a very vivid memory this one time where we were fighting over something classic. And so we got sent to our rooms, and in my old house, it was like my parents' room was here, my room was here, my brother's room was here, and it was like this hallway. And so we were in our rooms, and then eventually, like each of us like made our way to the door and like propped it open and like saw each other, and we were like passing our stuffed animals back and forth, like, and then we were like, "Hey, I'm sorry," you know.
Oh, cute.
I was like, "Yeah, me too," and we just like made up on our own.
Cute.
So I love my brother a lot. He's like, yeah, I love him so much. But
How much older than he is you?
he's, yeah, I know what you meant. He's 2 years older than me.
How much older
Other-
than
is
he?
what did you even say? Is he as you?
Yeah.
Is he of you?
So sorry.
Yeah. Anyways, he's 2 years
Little
older.
brain dead, it could happen, you know?
It's okay.
2 years older.
Yeah.
And your siblings, Julie? How much younger?
Technically, we're all like 2.
Oh.
You know, like
Yeah.
there's 2 years in between. But between me and Yaz, who's my middle sister, Yasmin, full name, Antonella, youngest, full name. They go by Yaz and Anto. I go by Judy. Full name
Etta.
Julieta. Should we go back now? If you're wondering why we're laughing, check out like 5 episodes ago. Probably only 2 episodes ago, let's be honest.
Julie.
Etta.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but between Yaz and I, there's like nearly 3 years because she's November and I'm February, so it's like, that's, and then between Yaz and Anto, there's like a year and a half.
Oh wow.
It, like not so much half, but there's, yeah. So, but technically we are all every
2 years.
because I'm 94, Yaz is 96, and Anto's 98.
Wow. That's helpful.
Yeah, it's almost like my parents planned it, but they
Yeah.
really didn't. Like, they really didn't plan it.
Yeah.
But it worked out.
It's true.
And you're older.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a brother, Mason. He's 10 years younger than me, which is so weird. Like 9 years and something months.
Mm.
Similar October, February instead of November, February. Yeah, but I also have step siblings, and I always forget about them because my mom didn't remarry, but she like was engaged and they were planning the wedding, but we lived with them most of my teenage years. So, my stepdad, who was my stepdad, had 2 kids older than me. So one was 4 years older than me, and one was 2 years older than me. And then there was another guy that they had kind of adopted that was 3 years older than me.
Oh wow.
So from like I was 10 when my brother was born, and then we moved in with them when I was 12. So yeah, kind of crazy actually now that I'm saying that out loud. So I was an only child for the first 10 years.
Yeah.
Then it was me and my brother. And then it was
you
like
have
this
all
massive
these
family.
siblings, Yeah.
And then by the time I was like 17, 18, back to me and Mason. You know. So we're the OGs. So how was, you explained a little bit, Abby, but how was your relationship with your siblings growing up? Were you close? Was it very, like you mentioned that you guys would play together and everything? We've heard in other episodes, in case you haven't seen it or don't remember, that
come up.
Bailey taped Abby to a fence at one
That
point.
happened. I have so many stories of my brother bullying me. So many.
I think we should reenact it. I feel like that would be
Taping
really
it to a
honoring
fence.
of Bailey. Like if we just sent him a
Yeah.
picture of you taped to the fence.
But
you
it's
know?
funny because, I mean, I don't know Bailey, but I feel like today
He does not
the
give
tables
that vibe.
are really reversed.
Oh yeah.
Like
There was,
you
like,
are
an
the, I'm going to
age-
tape him
Yes.
and like staple him to the fence.
Yeah. There was an age, I don't know if this happened with your siblings, but when we were really young, I was like the nonverbal one, you know. I think 'cause I was second, so I was like more shy, and my brother's like, oh, yappy, yappy, you know, always talking. And I was like that kid that was like always walking behind their siblings, and like someone would ask me, Abby, what do you think about this? And I'd like whisper it to my brother, and he'd be like, Abby thinks this, you know.
No way.
Like I didn't really like talking
What
to people or
changed?
like
Yeah.
And then when we were like, I don't know, maybe when I was like 10-ish, maybe we like reverse roles. And then my brother got quite introverted, and I was like, couldn't shut me up to save your life. It's still kind of like that in some ways. Yeah.
In some ways.
Did that happen to you guys though, or were you always like the same? Like, was it always the same dynamic?
No. With 3, it's always such a different dynamic.
Yeah, I
Because
guess.
it's always like 2 versus 1, you know, or like something
Right.
like that. So I think we went through different seasons and stages, you know. But I was always, because I was the older sibling, I was always the carer / the like follow me, you know.
Yeah.
And what I said went, and that
Classic Julie.
was it. Yeah. However, I was the one who was like leading the game. However, my sisters, so it split into two. My sisters would generally like pair up and like be closer with each other, which is why they would actually bond a lot more, and I would like leave them behind. I also had like, where we grew up, like I had such a big group of friends that like we all grew up together,
Yeah.
and we were all around the same age, so like we all wanted to like be with each other and therefore like not be with our younger siblings. So that was like predominantly what happened. But then there was the other dynamic, which was with like Anto and I, my younger sister and myself, where like we would always kind of like mischievously like throw Yasmin into the fire,
The
and
middle
like
child, yeah.
exactly middle child syndrome, and
Bless
make her
she's
go
such
and
a
do
middle
things.
child.
She
Yeah.
is such a middle child.
Yeah.
You
We
guys
were
actually all fit your roles very
we
clearly.
really do,
Yeah.
yeah, we really
It's
do.
true.
But because and then always, because there was three of us, it meant that like not only was I the older child, but like in many ways as well, like I grew up a lot quicker, not quicker than them, but like I think in life so many things also as well, changing countries and all of these different things.
Yeah, and you were older as well.
I
like,
was older,
yeah.
so there was always a
And that
very clear
changed.
divide. And since I was very young, my parents made my sisters share everything, and then I had my own room and
Yeah.
had my own stuff, you know. And there was a time where they would dress us up together like the same, but then like it changed a lot quicker, and they would still be dressed the same even all the way, like even they chose to dress the same all the way up until their late teens. But like I left that boat like really young, so it felt like there was always a bit more of a divide, you know. And it wasn't until like late teens and like my 20s that like I started having a bit more of a solid friendship with each one of them differently, you know. But they literally like were roommates all the way up until my sister got married in 2022. So
I always forget that. That's so true.
which is crazy, but like
Well,
I think it
Anto
happens.
moved to Argentina,
Well, yeah, Anto moved to Argentina. It's true. My
Yeah.
sister
Gotcha,
moved to
I remember that,
Argentina,
yeah.
but
and
then
then
she came back and
Yeah.
they
she
were
came
roommates
back,
again
and
for a
then
bit.
yeah, she came back 2021.
Wow. That's crazy.
Well, 2020, 2021.
2020,
2020.
Yeah.
And then she got married, and that's when they like stopped. But because of that, they have a bond with each other that is a lot more in sync, because it sounds bad, but they slept in the same room. They slept together. They shared everything
Yeah.
till the age of 22, 24.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really long time, you
Oh
know.
yeah. That's
So in
Yeah,
many ways, they
really.
were always like a lot more in sync with each other. And I always wanted to be with the older crowd as well. So
Mm.
I think I stopped basically hanging out with my sisters, as in like hanging out, by the age of 10. Like as soon as we moved to the UK,
Aw.
like
you were like,
She said yalla bye.
I said bye. Yeah.
see ya.
Like obviously we would
New
like
country, new me.
Yeah.
we literally. Yeah, it was really difficult. I think also because I was an early teen, so I was 9, 10.
Totally different, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
phases of life at that point.
But I also like became a teenager really quickly as well. Like I became a lady, as most people say, very young as well, which meant that like in many ways there was a very physical separation between me and my siblings.
Sorry, the lady like really got
I
me.
became a lady. Yeah, no, but it's true. And so already by the age of 9 or whatever, so we would hang out and stuff. But like but I think there was different moments. But
Do you have any funny childhood story?
oh my god. Do I have? I think like Abby. There's so many, but I don't know which ones I'm allowed to tell the world.
The oil one is a good one.
That's the one I always
The
think of.
fact that you guys. Okay. There's quite a few, but as I said, Yasmin, middle child syndrome. Yeah. And
We love you, Yasmin.
yeah,
Aw,
honestly,
we
I love
Yas.
Yaz. I love Anto. They're both amazing. So Yasmin is very emotional. But she's also such a passionate person. So they're both like really, really well combined. So very easily you can like, if like me, you're really good at like manipulating. Sorry, I'm gonna be blunt about myself. If you're really good at manipulating the situation,
That's
you
also
can
a very older sibling core, though.
Yeah,
to be
it's
fair.
true.
Like
Yeah.
your older sibling can convince you to do anything.
yeah.
Like,
Yes, but because Yaz is also passionate, you touch that
Yeah.
area, the passion aspect, and she'll be like, yes, and like
Mm.
follow blindly. She's a great follower, but she also is like your main hype girl as well
Yeah,
in
that's
many
true.
ways. Again, passionate. And Anto is the reserved one from the three, and so she's also very methodical. So me and Anto would most of the times like come up with the ideas and have Yaz execute them. Anytime we needed to ask my parents anything, it was always like we would convince, and we would
Yeah.
always come up with like why Anta can't do it, why I can't do it. And Yaz is gonna have to be you. You know,
I can like
Classic.
see it.
Yeah.
See you guys.
I feel like you did it last week. So it's like very
It's still very accurate, yeah. So anyways, this oil story that everybody talks about. Basically, there was a time in Argentina where we didn't have a lot of money, so we couldn't really like, I don't know, I guess splurge or buy things like now that are like you don't think about twice.
Yeah.
And so things like soft drinks and juices were actually something more of a luxury, you know.
Yeah.
So we didn't really have that. So anyways, my sister Yasmin loves taking naps. And when she was little, she kind of had to take naps. And me and Anto always hated taking naps when we were little. I think things have changed for Anto, but anyways. So Yasmin would take a nap, and then she woke up one afternoon, and she was like super sleepy. And I blame my mum for this, okay? My mum was cooking. My mum was cooking, and she put on the table a cup of oil, okay? Now, if you've ever seen oil, the colour of oil could be a little bit ambiguous, and it could look like apple juice.
Yes.
Yes? So my sister wakes up super sleepy. Don't ask me how I came up with this in the spot, because I guess I'm just a genius. That's it. So I'm sitting there, and Yaz comes in, and I'm like, Yaz, oh, like, I'm so sorry. We had some apple juice earlier, but I saved you a glass. And she was like, wow, thanks. Like, super excited, you know? Like, she is the kid who, like, thanks, an avocado, you know? Like, she is that kid. So she believes me. Obviously, she has no reason not to. She takes the apple juice, quotations, drinks it and starts like gagging and like and like puking or, you know, doing all of this, and she's crying, whatever, and she's like shouting. My mum turns around because obviously she's in the kitchen, but she's got her back to us. She turns around and she's like, "What's going on? What happened?" You know. And then Yaz is like all crying, is like, Julie made me drink the oil, la, 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 whatever. And my mum, classic, my mum blames Yaz and is like, why did you drink the oil? And then she was like, but she told me to, but why did you believe her? You know, classic. So it was really, like, I got told off after, but I also got a bit of a beating as well. But it was really worth it, let's be honest.
The story has lived on.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's just
Wow.
one of many of the things I've done.
I feel like you and Bailey would be really good friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like childhood Bailey.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
that he's
But
such
to
a
be
bully
fair,
now.
like a lot of things that my brother did when we were younger, like he didn't fully mean to. Like my brother's also just like he's very like he's such an artist, so like he's very like gone somewhere. Like he's a daydreamer. He's kind of like Kira, you know, where
Oh,
she's
bless
like
her.
sometimes you're just like, where are you right now, you know? And she's like, I'm in my cottage core hobbit house, you know, and you're like, what? How did you get there?
Come back right now.
Yeah. My brother's kind of like that. So one time we're sharing stories. One time it was like summertime, and me and my brother were playing this game. I don't know how old we were pretty young. We were playing this game where like he would like one person would go into the trunk of our car and you'd like close it and be like, oh, so funny, like, oh, and then you'd open it up and then the next person would go. We'd do that. I don't know why this was fun. This was before phones and
That's
before
crazy.
anything, whatever. We're just like being silly. Then he puts me in, closes it, and we're like, ha ha ha. And then my dad is like in the back or doing something. And he's like, hey, Bailey, like, can you come help me with this really quick? And he's like, yeah, sure thing. So he goes, but then he forgets that I'm in there.
Oh no.
And he leaves me in the
No.
car in the summer heat
No.
for like, I want to say like it was at least 30 minutes that I was in there. At least. That I'm just like sitting there. I have such a vivid memory, guys, of being in the trunk of the car. And it was like it had one of those toppers, so you couldn't like, it's not like I could go over the seat and like get out. I was literally just stuck in this tiny little spot, literally like this. Being like, and I like sang songs to myself. I remember being like,
So do certain
This is
songs
so
like trigger you?
I don't really remember what I sang, but I just remember being like,
I am
and
a
I was like,
child
yeah,
of God.
yeah. Like
Were you,
eventually
like,
someone
scared?
will find me.
Were you upset?
Honestly, no.
Wow.
Yeah, and then eventually, like, I think I heard my dad like come nearby at one point, and I was like, help.
That would be so creepy though.
Dad opened the door and was like, what the hell are you doing in here? Like, get out.
If I was your dad though, I'd be like so freaked out to suddenly
Yeah.
hear like a
No, I think my brother got in trouble for that one for sure.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, it's so funny.
Oh, that's
So many things like that where like it's not like, I mean, for sure taping me to the fence. He meant to do that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that he was just a bit of a, like a
How did you let
That's a
him
good-
tape you to the fence? This has always intrigued me.
I was really little. Like I was like, I'd have no memory of this. I just have heard it so many times, so I know the story. But I was probably like 2, maybe or 3. So I was just like, I don't know. Again, you're at that stage where it's like everything your older sibling says. Like I really looked up to my brother, especially like I always have, but like especially at that point, he was like my world. You know,
Yeah.
like when you're a younger sibling, your older sibling is like the smartest person you've ever met. Like you know everything. So you're just
Yeah.
like, oh okay. Take me to the fence, I guess. You know, I don't
Yeah.
know. I have no idea. But
Yeah, Anta always blames me for burning our house.
You want to tell that story?
Well, because like I said, I always wanted to be older, and so like a thing about being older, I guess back then when there wasn't phones, whatever, was to have candles, you know, and to
were you born in like the 1800s? Like what?
You were a
But,
lady
like,
of candles.
you know, like
You
having
didn't have a
your-
phone. You lit your candle and
Well, like
went hunting. Like what?
why'd you go British?
Well, I don't know. Like,
Anyways, no, like you'd have your room with your candles, you know, and like you would create a
Oh,
vibe, you
okay.
know, maybe you'd play music, you'd read a book or whatever. So I taught Anta how to light a candle, and she
so it was
took
your
my
fault.
lighter, and then the story goes, she took the lighter at some point, and then she was watching TV, and she heard one of her dolls say, "I'm cold." And so so she grabbed the lighter to try and warm up the doll.
I didn't know
She
that
got
part of the story.
distracted with the TV. The doll caught on fire, but she didn't pay attention, and suddenly she had the urge to pee. So dropped what she was doing, went to pee, comes back, tiny
Room's
fire.
on fire.
My
yeah.
sister's so chill,
Yeah.
even when she was little. So she goes to my mum's room. Again, Yasmin loves to take naps. Me and Anto don't. So Anto was watching TV. Yasmin went to nap with my mum. She goes to my mum's room. She taps my mum on the shoulder and she's like, "Mum, the room's on fire." And my mum was like, "What?" And she was like, "Go to sleep. Like go away, you know, type of thing. Like, what is she talking about?" So she goes away. And then she comes back and she can't get in the room because the fire's getting so big. So she comes back and she's like, "I can't go in the room because it's fire." And that's when mum smells. So she gets up and she sees, and then she
Imagine.
grabs, oh my gosh, I can't. She grabs both my sisters and she starts running down the street just screaming, "My house is on fire, somebody help, somebody help." Thankfully, literally just before the fire happened, my neighbour came, which she never comes in the afternoon, but she came and she was talking to my mum, and then I convinced my mum to let me go with her to wait for my friend. So I was at her house, which was just like maybe like a block away from our house. But otherwise, like, 'cause my room was upstairs, my dad made a loft, like, I would have died suffocated probably immediately. So it's crazy.
Praise the Lord, you're
So,
alive.
amen, I'm alive.
Amen.
So yeah, it's a crazy story. We love Anto anyways.
We do. We love all the siblings.
What about you? You haven't told any stories with Mace.
It's so hard to remember stories, to be honest. Also 'cause my memory is rubbish about these things. But Mace and I like had a lot of fun because my mom was a single mom for the first couple of years, which just meant that like him and I hung out all the time. You know, I'd pick him up from school. We would like hang out together. He would come with me to lacrosse practice. I was telling the girls the other day that Mason had a nickname called Mowgli because I would go to lacrosse practice and there was these little trees that they planted like all along the edge of the park, and Mason was bored out of his mind, so he would climb the trees and then they would just snap in half. So if you go to this specific park, there's like 4 trees that are just in half. And everyone would be like, oh, the trees. And Mason was like, sorry. But like, I feel really like protective of my brother because he was like my kid in some ways.
Yeah.
Like, I just remember he had this massive head, and we'd call him Tweety Bird when he was a baby, and he'd like hit his head on everything.
Bird, that's so cute.
We'd have to like guard all the tables. Or one time I don't know why we went on a holiday or somewhere, and we stayed in a hotel while we were driving. And I think my mom went to buy food or something, and so Mason and I were jumping on the mattresses, like back and forth. And of course, Mason fell, and like cut open his eye, and we had to go to the hospital. And like he still has a little scar, you know. But it was kind of funny because even though we were 10 years different, like I think I came down 5 years and he came up 5 years, and we met at 5 years old. You know, we just were chaotic.
Yeah.
We wrestled a lot. When he was little, poor thing, I really beat the crap out of him. Because
it's a younger sibling event.
And you probably also did it 'cause you knew that later on he was going to be a man, and he
I
was
don't know that
you.
I thought in advance like that, but for sure people would say like, careful, Maddie, one day he's going to beat you up. And he does.
Yeah.
Like every time I see him, he does this like punchy thing, and I'm like, oh my God, you're so strong.
Yeah.
And it's like he touches me and it's painful.
Yeah.
Like he's so strong, and he's bigger than me, which is impressive 'cause I'm big. But yeah. But I think like something really special about siblings, even in hearing the stories and stuff, is that like we have these relationships with people that we live our whole life with. Like we grow up with, we share rooms with, we share clothes with, we go on holidays with. Like if I did that with a friend, I'd be like, wow, this is my bestie for life, you know? And we do that with our siblings without choosing them as our friend, and also in the middle of age gaps, which is sort of interesting because even if I had a friend now that is like 10 years older than me, I'd be like, we wouldn't be able to relate. And yet as kids, we find ways to relate with our siblings.
Yeah.
And we like live huge portions of our life with them. And then we kind of grow up and suddenly like we don't have that same kind of relationship, you know? So my question would be like, how has the dynamic of your relationship with your siblings changed over the years? Do you still like have the same relationship you had with them when you were younger? We've touched on this a little bit, but maybe to go a bit deeper in that specific area.
Yeah, I think for sure your relationship changes and evolves with anyone at any point. Like, I don't know. I don't think anyone's relationship is the same. Like, my relationship with you isn't the same as when I first met you. You know, like
praise the Lord.
Yeah, praise the Lord. Or with anyone. So for sure, I think in a lot of ways, of course, like your relationship changes.
Yeah.
I think though, like at the core, I would say it's more or less the same with my brother.
Yeah.
Like, I think I still think of him as smarter than me, and I still think of him as like, you know, I don't know, someone who will like protect me or look after me. Like, I don't know, I don't know how much of those things would ever really change, even with so much separation and with so much like space in between. I was actually like, I'm trying to read 10 books this year. I just finished book 5.
Wow.
Halfway through the year, so I'm on
That's really
course.
good. You're on brand.
Yeah. But the book that I was reading was also about a brother and sister. And it was like really interesting to me, like how like our siblings are like people, kind of like what you said, they're people that you go through your life with, and maybe you don't choose them, but they also like form you in so many ways. Like your parents obviously have such an impact on how you're formed and like brought up and everything. But I think, to be honest, siblings are so important. Yeah. It's actually like, I'm honestly, I feel so blessed to have had like a brother like my brother, and B, to like have had a really good relationship with my sibling, because I think it actually like teaches you so much about how to relate with people, and especially when you have a sibling, like at least I can speak from my experience, like having a brother for me was also really helpful. Like I got to like know how to like interact with guys long before I ever went to school or before any, you know what I mean? Like it also teaches you so much. This is kind of going off topic, but or like off of your question. But I think like because your sibling is someone that you grow up with and someone that you go through life with, like in a way that's why I was talking about this book, because it was quite similar to like also how me and my brother grew up, in a way that like your sibling, at least for me in my experience, was like genuinely one of the like one of the only, if not the only person who like fully knows exactly everything. You know, like there's a lot of people that, you know, you tell your testimony to, or you like share things about your life with, and maybe they know about it, but they didn't go through it with you. You know, your sibling, at least for me, my brother was with me in every single one of those years, you know, and knew exactly everything and was there with me and feeling the same things that I was feeling, you know. Maybe not all the same things because we're different people, but you're in there with them, you know. So it's like crazy to me how like really important siblings are, you know, and how they're like, I don't know, my brother is like my family, you know. Of course your parents are your family too. I don't know, I hope I'm making sense, but so I think like my relationship with him has like in some ways been so cemented by that. Like I don't know if it could change really because there's just such a like if I'm speaking from my experience, I know that not everyone maybe feels the same way, or different people have different experiences with siblings, so can't speak for everyone. But at least for me, like in my relationship with my brother, I think there's something that was like cemented in A, what we went through, and B, like that we had each other to lean on, you know, in really difficult times. Like I have so many memories of Bailey being incredible in like some of my hardest moments, you know. So I don't know. I think like in that sense, I don't know if, and I pray that our relationship would never change, you know, that would never leave. But of course you're different people than you were when you were kids, you know, or teenagers even. So it changes in some ways, but does that make sense?
Yeah, and you also just don't spend all your time together.
Yeah.
You're not going away all the time.
Exactly.
Or whatever, so
you're not seeing each other in the day to day. Yeah. But and I think people in general change, you know, like my brother's not the same as he was when he was little, but
I think it's really interesting, like what you're saying, because I have a brother too, but my brother is also a lot younger. Where you guys are opposite, like you're the younger one, but also you're close, you know, because when I talk with my brother about the things that we've lived, actually our perspectives are super different.
So different, I
like
bet with the
almost completely different. Where things that I found to be like very difficult or like borderline traumatic, whatever, he was like, I had no idea. Like, I don't know, maybe I had issues with some members of my family, but those same members of the family like built him a skate ramp in the backyard.
Right.
So he was like, they were my idol.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know? Like I did everything with them, and I'm like,
really?
Very different, you know? So it's really crazy how like also within our siblings, like we can have experiences where we're in the same page. But also we can live things the same, but be completely different.
Have very different views. Oh, for
also
sure.
because my brother and I could not be more different in personality in some ways. Like we're very similar in that we're both really melancholic and like sensitive and like tender and like deep. But then he went another direction and I went a different direction, you know, in another way. So it's just really interesting that you say that because, part of me was like, yeah, it's true. And then I was like, actually, Mason has like he would say the opposite of me in some things. Of course, there's some things that we are the same in. Or like our experiences are similar. But it's so interesting. You know?
I think for sure there's things that we've gone through that like he had a very different perspective on, you know, or like relationships with our parents or things, you know, like for sure there's different dynamics also because you're different genders, you know. So there's also that whole change. So definitely there's like, it's not like everything was the like we feel the exact same about everything, but at the same time there's like this like also this just this understanding, I guess, that I just have with literally no one else.
You don't even have to express it. Like you can be like, oh, you remember that?
And you can laugh about it, you know,
like that person was so, and you're like, I know. You know? You don't have to explain.
Literally, this is the best feeling.
The references, they just get them.
For sure.
So true.
It's true. I think for me, like, definitely, like, our dynamics have changed always. I think also it's very clear. I mean, age also, like, creates that difference in dynamic. But, like, also there was a very clear, like, difference and division from when we moved. We moved so much in my life. And, like, we moved in very key times as well. Not just, like, the big move from Argentina, but just before we moved from Argentina, we also moved there for a season. And then here we moved around in the UK for a bit as well. And each time for me was actually like really like big changes, you know. I think for me moving to England was just such a huge change. And out of the three of us, I think I suffered that change a little bit more. we all suffered in different ways. And my mum always talks about, like, when we first arrived and we didn't speak any English, we would watch TV and we would see the same cartoons but like cry because we couldn't understand anything, you know. And I've got memories of that. But I was very enthusiastic about learning English, and I was very much like, yes, because I saw it as like something cool, because I had always like looked up to like the English speaking cultures and movies, music, all of that, and I was so into that. But it was also so, because I was a preteen and basically a teenager, it was also really hard for me because I lost all of my friends. And my family decided to move, my parents decided to move literally 2.5, 3 weeks before my birthday. And it was a killer for me. And because of that, I think already, like, it wasn't just the fact that we were like removed and like taken somewhere else, but the fact that I was also taken away from my hub, which was all my friends. In Yaz and Anto, like, they never really, like, they had those friends, but I don't know that they had that many of friends. Like, Anto had like 2 close friends from like childhood, and then her friends from school, but like it was kind of like, you know, because she was never really like one to be that social. And Yaz was always social, but she had like, again, just 2 friends that she was like close with as well, and then that was pretty much it, you know. But they were both still really young to like not really feel that change, and they had each other in many ways as well. And I was always looking for like that older crowd, and so they found each other and they were able to get closer with each other. And so that was the first time that we like had that very big change. And obviously the dynamics changed a lot, like when we got older, when I finished school, you know, like every season was like transitional for sure. I think now where both my sisters are married, I'm still single, so I think like it's kind of put us at a level where we're like also like the 3 of us are just kind of a bit more in a similar stage. Even though I'm not married, my younger sister Anto, she is a new mum. Like, we're living through different things at the same time. We're all in the same stage of adulthood in a sense, you know. Whereas before it's always felt like it was like Julie was the older and then the other ones were, but now it's kind of backwards because my younger sister was the first one to get married, she's the first one to become a mum, you know. So in many ways I'm now the youngest, at least in traditional sense, in a traditional sense, or also like according to my family as well. Like all of my family, maybe if not very traditional, very conventional, and always like the older sibling getting married first, yada yada yada. So, but I think it's put us in a spot in life, in our relationship now, where like I think we also understand the other one a lot more. I think also for sure that comes with age and maturity, for sure. Like it brings you to a. But before there was a lot more of like differences of like, oh, you don't understand. And I think I've always had that approach towards them as well. Like it's like when you're older, you'll understand, you know. So I think we're at a point where like I think we speak the same language in a way. We don't have so much of that difference. I think it's not clear. Like before it was so clear, you know, who's the older, who's the young. In fact, now everybody's like thinks that Anto is the oldest because she is a bit more reserved. So she comes across perhaps a little bit more mature in that way. She is quite mature as well. Yaz always gets that she's the youngest, but just because she looks like the same as she did when she was a baby. But either way, like there is still like we are very much in the same like common ground in a sense, like when it comes to life and how we speak and whatnot. But yeah, for sure the dynamic changed when they got married as well. Like there is that element as well that like I don't know, they're also trying to bring in somebody else to the family dynamic. You've got a lot of like family like inside jokes, you look at each other and whatever, and so they're also trying to bring each other in. And like both my sisters are married with like 2 very different cultures from what we come from, and like the complete other side of the world. One's Egyptian, the other one's Armenian. But the Armenian one like grew up in Argentina as well, so there's a bit more similarities there as well. And with Mark, my Egyptian brother-in-law, like he comes from a very different culture as well, but he doesn't speak Spanish. So many times like I see Yaz's effort and even our effort as well to try and include him. So how we are also with each other when Mark is around is slightly different because we are very much aware that like we don't want him to feel left out. He doesn't anyways because he's like so good at like connecting. But so I think the dynamics also changed in that way as well with the husbands.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
but yeah.
I think it's interesting that you'd mention like family dynamics because like obviously every family has a different dynamic, and but what comes to mind is like when it comes to our friends or the people that we like choose to build life with for at least a season, we don't tend to have like a sense of responsibility for them in the same way that we have a sense of responsibility for our family. Like if we hear that our family is not doing well, we're like must go.
Yeah.
Like that's my highest priority, you know? Or if you ask somebody like what are the 3 priorities of your life, they're generally like family, work, whatever, you know what I mean? Friends, I don't know, whatever. But family is generally very high on the list, like of wanting to make sure they're okay. Like you have this sense of like belonging and responsibility and family, you know? And that makes sense generally for your parents because they birthed you, raised you. Like there's also this cultural thing that we take care of our family, like of our parents when they get sick, when they get older, whatever. But like with siblings, I know that I had a sense of responsibility for my brother because I sort of raised him and like was part of that process. But how do you guys feel knowing that your sibling relationships are very different in that like sense of responsibility for your siblings? Because now they're just adults like everybody else. Like I don't have the same sense of responsibility for either of you. But actually for my brother, I'm like, but he's mine. And he's like my brother. And I want, you know, and even though I live so far away from him and I probably haven't been there for key moments of his life when he really needed me or like, I don't know, like my point is the sense of responsibility is like still there, but the way it is acted out is really different. Where I don't know, maybe you have something similar because your brother's far away, but obviously your siblings are here. So how is that for you guys when you have like the sense of responsibility to people who aren't your parents, are just like the same age-ish as you, but are complete adults on their own? Does that make sense? My question.
I think it's so different. Again, going back to the seasons thing, with the seasons of like how your relationship is going. So, for example, now that my sisters are married, I'm like, oh, okay, you know. So, for example,
Like they're taken care of.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So neither of your siblings are married, so that's probably different in that way. But like because now my sisters are married, it's more like, oh, okay, like I know that they're going through something. Oh, like it's okay. And if I see, like it's only when I see that they're still not okay, even with their spouse, because it's really consuming them, then I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna step in. Now then they clearly like want my
The
support.
big guns,
But it's not because like I like but it's
No,
more
no,
because
I
I
get
don't
it.
want to be intrusive.
Yeah, of
you
course.
know?
Of course, yeah.
And I
Of
think
course.
also in beyond the intrusive thing, like also like I don't know, we went through a season with both of my sisters, especially with Yaz, because Anto moved away, where like Yaz and I got really close, and Yaz would come to me and stuff. And so I know that and when they have something, like they'll come to me. So it's in one, I don't want to be intrusive, but in the other one, like I know that they have no shame to come and ask me for help. You know what I mean?
That's really cool.
Which is, it is really cool. But I don't think, and I was thinking about this while you were talking, I don't think that we've gone through, or they've individually gone through anything that's been so major where like I've had to like kind of come in, thank God, you know. Like we've gone through like losses in family or like difficult situations and stuff, but like nothing that's been so like difficult that you really had to be there for one another in that way. But for sure I definitely see like the change in like as soon as I got married. What I did see when I was a bit younger, when we moved to the UK, and also growing up, I think maybe it has something to do with our generation, like in general. Like there are so many things that it's not that they were taboos, but like they just weren't taught in your house, and you learned a lot of things at school or through your friends, you know, like for example, everything to do with like your period, everything to do with like sex, everything to do, so many of those things came from the outside and not from the inside. At least in my family. So many times I felt the need to like step in and like protect my sisters, or like step in, and it sounds wrong to like protect them from my parents, but more like to kind of cover and like be the parent in that area where I also felt like my parents didn't know how to deal with that. And it's not that they didn't know as well, but again, it was a taboo even for when they grew up, and there were so many topics that weren't really talked about. So when we were like of like teenage age and stuff, like I remember like perhaps taking a bit more of that like sort of like big sister role. And when we were in school, I was a big sister. We went to the same school for a moment, like because obviously I transitioned out a lot sooner, but like I was like, I made everybody know that like these were my sisters, and like if you mess with them, you mess with me, type of thing, you know. And like I got in a few fights like because of like the fact that people would bully them or whatever, you know. And they did the same thing
Did
for
you notice
each
her
other.
voice change even
Yeah.
talking about it?
Yeah.
It's like, you mess with them, you mess with me.
Yeah, you mess with me. Yeah.
She got mad just thinking about it.
Yeah, no, really, but like, cause yeah, and then also like, but it was cool because we also developed like a system in school where like people would know, and so it was really sweet actually. Many of my friends would do the same thing. They would come and they would be like, Julie, your sister's crying, or Julie, your sister, or something, you know, which was really, really cool that there was also that community, but also that they knew that that would also bother me. Like I also was so outward in that way that my friends, and not even just my friends, but people who were in my same year group, like who were like, I think that's your sister, you know, like, and would come and tell me. So in that way, I think that's when I was a bit more protective. But like, I think in the like in the recent years, it's more like just been supportive and there, you know. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think for me it's a very different dynamic than you guys because both of you are the oldest.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, you had a brother, but having sisters also is very different.
Yeah.
So having like an older brother, the dynamic was really different. Like, I think I started to feel like more of a responsibility, or like that I could see that I also could take care of him once I was older. Like probably once, like, I don't know, probably like late into high school. Like I don't think I really looked out for my brother that much. Like I don't know, it just wasn't really part of the dynamic, you know?
For sure.
Especially him being an older brother. Like he always looked out for me to the point where it was so annoying. Like the whole like if at school, if anyone bullies me, no one was really bullying me at school. I was more bullying other people. It's a whole other story.
I believe it.
I'm just
Still
kidding.
does.
I'm just kidding. Kind of.
I'm shocked.
But like I have a vivid memory of like my brother, like some guy liking me at school, and my brother said something to him, and I remember like I was like shriveling with embarrassment that he said something. Now I look back on it and I'm like, that's so cute, you know, that he was like, stay away from my sister. You know? You're like, when you're like a little kid, you're like, oh my gosh.
Stop.
Yeah, you're like, you know. Now I'm older, I'm like, oh, that's cute actually. But I think like in that way, he looked out for me, and I know for sure, like we've had conversations before where he's like, yeah, I've always felt like such a responsibility for you, and like such a like that I have to look after you, you know. I think also especially because of everything that we went through, like he always kind of felt like the responsibility like ended up on his shoulders, you know. But again, especially as like the oldest boy, like I feel like there's something that also comes with that's different than being like even an older sister. Like I think it's something different, you know. So I think I didn't really feel that like sense of like responsibility like until I was a bit older. But for sure now I definitely like you said, like if anything were to ever happen, like I would drop everything like immediately, you know. So it is like kind of like a weird dynamic because you don't really like, you are so far away, you know. But I also like, I always know when he's not doing well. He doesn't even have to tell me, and I can just sense it, you know what I mean? Like I think it's just like a sibling or like a sister thing. The sister senses are tingling.
It's true.
So for sure it makes for like, it's hard in general, like even with friends, you know, when they're not doing well at home, and you're like, you want to be there for them, but you can't really. So I think it is like, to be honest, it's quite painful, I think, like to live away from your family and to have things going on, and
it sucks.
Not being able to be there is really hard. Really hard.
Or needing to triage what you go home for. Like, I don't know, hearing different things. Like my brother's has had a really hard time since I've come here, really. And to know when I should go or when I shouldn't go or when I should like force him to talk to me or not, you know. It's so difficult. So I totally get it.
Yeah, I think I also like I feel more of a sense of responsibility and like like for sure in some ways taking care of him and making sure he's okay, but also being like, I don't know, having that sisterness of like, okay, like let's keep going. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if you guys ever feel like that with your siblings, but I sometimes feel like, I don't know, like, I think I also know him so well, so I can see, like, sometimes when he's struggling, when he doesn't even know it, you know? And I'm like, I can see that this, like, we need to kind of deal with this at some point, you know? Like, maybe Bailey should look at that, you know? So I think that's also hard, 'cause those are the only time I really see that is when I'm home, you know?
Yeah, of
I
course.
can't see that when I'm here. So, but you're only home for
Small time.
a small time. So that
Yeah.
that's also hard to, like, try to navigate when to say things and when to not, you know? When is it worth it to, like, even kind of similar to what you're saying about going home, when is it worth it to, like, buy the ticket, or when is it worth it to say something?
Yeah.
Or when is it just like, I just need to love you, you know? Or not that I wouldn't otherwise, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I think that I feel like I have more responsibility in that sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like not being with my brother has been the biggest sacrifice of missions, to be honest.
Yeah.
Apparently that made me really emotional. So, 1 second. Yeah, like, I don't know. For those of you that don't know, when I moved here, I had a fiance. Like, I was building my life. I was, like, becoming a nurse, so many things. But actually, like, jeez. I'm also very tired, so sorry. I think, that's been the biggest cost in missions, is not being with him through difficult things.
Yeah.
But probably also because the nature of our relationship is really different.
Yeah.
And I'm really protective, though he's my brother and I'm his sister. I'm his sister, like, truly, you know?
Yeah.
So for sure, I think that's been one of the most painful things, to hear him going through something, or to sense him going through something and not being able to
Be there.
just be there.
Yeah.
In the day to day and in the difficulty. It's been, I would say, I would like feel very confident to say that's been the biggest sacrifice.
Yeah.
Beyond anything else.
Yeah.
Beyond finances, who cares? But I have a final question for you, because we are almost an hour in, so this will be final question. Which is like, as siblings, like when we're younger, you talked about this at the beginning, we have fights and issues with our siblings, and we like make up by passing the toys across the doorway, whatever. But obviously, like, I feel like I've talked to a lot of people and I'm like, oh, and how's your family and how's this and that? And they'll be like, yeah, I have a brother that I don't speak to, or a sister that I don't speak to. So beyond your own experiences with fights with your siblings, or arguments or whatever with your siblings, do you have any like advice or insight into somebody who might be listening who has had like a breakdown in their relationship with their sibling, and any encouragement to give them in this area? You can share your own experience if you want to. I'm just aware of the time.
Yeah.
But more if you have any advice for someone in that situation.
That's such a good question. It's really hard though for me, because like, I don't know, I think also because of family issues. My freaking family. I was raised in like a household that was like, you will never ever 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 turn your back on your brother. Like, that was like never even a question, you know? For a whole string of reasons. But I like, that was something that was like drilled into us as kids. Like, you will not go to bed unless you guys have figured it out. Like, so it's hard for me, like, to be honest. Maybe this sounds like I'm really not trying to be insensitive, but I really struggle sometimes to even comprehend that. I'm like, how are you like distant from your sibling? Because I was raised in a house that was like not
possible,
not even possible, you know. And also because of the nature of my relationship with Bailey, like, I can't even I really can't even picture not speaking to him or not being in contact with him. It's like I can't even I just like I can't compute. So I think like it's a great question, but I honestly I don't know. I don't know what that would look like. All I can say is like what I said at the beginning, that for me, siblings are something that also really form you, you know? And so I think they have so much value. But I know, like I said as well at the beginning, not everyone has like, not everyone has good siblings, you know? Sometimes people have really difficult relationships with their siblings. Sometimes a lot of the trauma that people experience are through the hands of siblings, you know? And so I really don't want to like say that just make up and get over it, you know? Like, bruh, it's not that simple. And I'm very, like, I'm sure. But thankfully, I think God was like, this one thing, Abby.
Cut you a break.
Yeah, you're gonna have this, and it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
So, I don't really know, to be honest. I
Yeah.
don't know what, like, 'cause I honestly, I don't know of a time really that I've had something like that with Bailey.
Yeah. No, it's
Um,
fine. It's good.
But yeah.
I've definitely had a lot of ups and downs with my sisters for sure, and we've had seasons where we've drifted and seasons where we've come closer to each other for sure. And I'm glad you haven't had that. I think that's really rare, actually. I think you're the exception, not the rule, which is really beautiful. I think, and it's something I also say because in my situation, like I've grown up in a Christian household where also we were missionaries, and for a long time also we were doing life and ministry and everything together, and we still are in many dynamics. So I still live with my younger sister and her husband, and they work also with YWAM with me. My middle sister lives with her husband elsewhere, and she hasn't been with YWAM, although she's always been a part, you know.
Of course, yeah.
But she's not with YWAM. And so when I felt from God to come and work with my family, I didn't want to do it, and I was obedient because I knew that was the right thing to do, but I really, really struggled the first few years because I didn't want to do it. And so I always say to people, don't do anything if you don't have a word, but especially with your family, because you don't choose your family. You know, your family is given to you, but at the same time you have to protect the fact that you have that family.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to look after those people. It's like, whether you like it or not, like God also like put those people in your life, and you are a sibling, a daughter, a son, you know, a granddaughter, a grandchild, whatever, to these people, and God can use you in that way. And it doesn't mean that it's easy, but it means that also you have a responsibility. So I think my advice for people would be like, it may take time. You might need to find how that dynamic works, because it doesn't always look the same. In my case, I've got two sisters, which means that like they're both not only different, but also my relationship with them is different. And I also like, there's been times where I've been closer to one more than the other. Like also like, I don't know, you know, so I also can't compare things.
Yeah.
Sometimes I want things to be the same, and maybe they're in an okay level, but they may not be the same. So patience definitely is important, but like I think more than anything, it's just kind of like building stamina that is like appropriate for you in your relationship, and that might take years. Like now I'm 31, my relationship with my sisters today, it's like so much more stable, but at the age of 25 it wasn't. You know, at the age of 23 it wasn't, at the age of 15 it wasn't, you know. So I'm 31. Did it take me that long? Yeah. For you it didn't, and that's great, but like give it time, but look after it because it is your family. For sure, like you can build relationships with the people that sometimes, you know, people say like nothing's thicker than blood, you know, and like blood like can stand everything, and that's true to an extent, but you can also like build that blood, you know. Then you can create those bonds and connections with other people, and they can sometimes even be closer than your own family members. But you do have, and I firmly believe that you do have a duty to your family as well. And so and maybe that's difficult also to hear, because as Abby was saying, maybe like you've also like been hurt by your family, maybe you've struggled like, and you've received abuse through your siblings as well, and that can be really difficult. I know that like that was the case also with me and my sisters. Like I know that in many ways also as the older sister, like there was so many things that I did wrong, and I know that that's probably affected them. But again, like I think there's always like space for there to be little miracles, and there to be like little like turnarounds, you know. And I think sometimes we look at movies and we read books, or we look at other relationships and we compare, but I think a victory is still a victory. You know, a breakthrough in your relationship with your siblings is a breakthrough, and nobody can take that away from you. So maybe I don't have the taping in the fence story, and they're like today, like the like I'm never turning my back on my brother, like in the same way, but in my context, in my relationship with my siblings, like is there still contact? You know, for many people that is a huge breakthrough.
Huge,
just a simple contact. So
Yeah.
whatever it may be, like just don't give up.
Yeah.
I think that would be my thing. It sounds so like cliche and such a cheesy thing to say, don't give up on your siblings and stuff, but like just don't give up on like that. Give it time, you know. If you need to step away, if you need to like let it cool down, but like just don't give up, you know. Because it's family. And I think sometimes we look down at that because it's like, oh, it's my family, you know. But actually, like, there's something also in the same way that we talk so fondly about how God knitted me in my mother's womb. Yeah, but like, let's not forget that was your mother that God also chose, you know, and he also knitted your siblings in that same womb.
Yeah.
You share so much with each other,
Yeah.
you know, and that was all God. So in the same way that he was so intentional with you, like there is an intentionality. And I know that people can like deviate it and like be like, well, but what about me in this situation? Because I've got step siblings, or like I'm a product of rape, if you want to go all the way to that extreme, you know. Yeah, you can look at the negatives, but look at what God did.
Yeah.
And if you try to find that at some point, then like you'll find a blessing, because there's always a blessing with God. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think what comes to mind for me is similar to what you were just saying, Julie, but it's like maintaining a love that has hope and that endures, you know? Like, my brother and I are so different. We barely speak. I send him messages every once in a while, but he doesn't respond to me. When I'm home, I spend maybe 5 minutes or maybe a half an hour of the entire 2 weeks that I'm there with him, 'cause he's busy or he's just in his own world or whatever. We have completely different values, completely different friendship kind of groups, completely different style, completely different, like we are opposite in everything. And in one hand, none of that matters, like style or friendship groups or whatever don't matter. But some things like can cause a divide, like values, like principles, morals, things like that we can be very different in some areas. But there's two things I think that like keep my heart soft towards my brother, no matter what he says to me or what he does that hurts me or affects me or whatever. That is not abusive, obviously, as we keep on mentioning. Beyond any of that, there's a part of my heart that is always hopeful for him in general, for him to live a healthy life, for him to be happy, for him to be fulfilled. Like I long for that for him. And that like hope, like a love that has hope, that hopes also for a relationship with him, that hopes that like beyond a relationship where we're talking all the time, but like it's like kind of like what you were saying, Abby, that you have this like sense with your brother, like you don't even have to share with each other, but there's something connected. And I have that with my brother, even if we don't speak, you know? And so it's almost like this hope that goes beyond this moment in this practical world, you know? But also I think we're in a time, we've talked about this, I think, in other podcasts, but we're in a time that like love means you agree with me and we do the same thing and our lives look the same. And that's just not true. Like I can love somebody I deeply disagree with, you know? And there's many things that I disagree with in my brother, in his lifestyle and whatever. Or that maybe don't align with my values or whatever, and yet I love him and he can tell me anything about his life and I won't judge him and I won't look down on him. I just love him, you know? And so I think that's something really important, because sometimes I feel like we get in feuds with our siblings, or you see this in movies and stuff, like they get in feuds because, I don't know, one is a lawyer and one is a doctor and like they don't agree and like, you know? And I just think agreement isn't the foundation and the cornerstone of a relationship with somebody, you know? So beyond like terrible traumatic circumstances that can happen, that can divide you and your sibling, sometimes we have issues with our siblings that are related to like a difference in worldview or a difference in opinion or a difference in like communication. And I don't know, I think like we have the capacity, especially with God, pretty much only with God, we have the capacity to love beyond those things, you know? And there's many times that it, like my brother in himself is not difficult to love. He as a person is so easy to love, but some of his decisions are challenging, you know? In the same way that probably people think he probably thinks my decisions are challenging, you know? But yet there's a love that is beyond that unites us anyway. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think that's important, like to remember with your siblings, anybody who's listening or watching, like that you don't have to do the same thing as your sibling or like have agreement on everything just 'cause you grew up in the same family and in the same way. You can be completely different and disagree on literally everything, and your uniting point can be God. With my brother and I, it's not God. It's just love. for me, my love comes from God. So it's kind of cheeky. But anyway. So yeah, I think a love that like goes beyond anything and a hope that goes beyond anything.
Yeah.
But anyway, any final words, my ladies?
I don't think so. That was a good wrap up there, Maddie Sona.
Love
Wrapped
my
it up.
sisters.
That was a nice little bit.
I love your brothers too. I have never met Bailey,
I cannot wait
but
to meet
I really
Bailey.
can't wait to meet Bailey.
I'm trying to get him to come for Christmas this year.
Oh, let's go.
I think that would be really fun.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Nice.
That's great.
Who knows?
Cool.
I hope so.
Well,
I hope
thank you.
Mason can come too. so.
Yeah, hopefully. He also always is like, buy my ticket and I'll come. And I'm like,
How
Where am
many
I gonna
times have
whip
we
out-
bought his ticket?
yeah,
Like
where
twice.
am I going to whip out money, you know? He's the one with the proper job.
Yeah.
He's a
Yeah.
welder. He's
Yeah.
making bank over
For
there.
sure.
Yeah.
He can
Buy his own ticket.
buy me a ticket. No, I think he'll come soon.
Yeah.
I need to raise up the conversation again.
Mm.
But he loves it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he loves it here. So anyway, we'll wrap up here so that you guys can have a break on your ears. Thank you so much for listening, for watching. Thank you, girls, for your input.
Of course.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.